What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley and welcome back to another weekly watch list video. In this series, my goal is to share with you the stocks that are at the top of my watch list going into the week ahead, as well as how I feel about the market conditions. So if you get any value out of that and you want to see this watch list in the future, remember to click that like and subscribe button. Let's jump right in. Okay, so to start us off here, we're going to take a look at the NASDAQ, and as you can see here, it was a bit of a choppy week. Monday, Tuesday, we kind of opened up sideways. Wednesday, we gapped up. Thursday, it was extremely choppy and we fell down lower, and on Friday, we sold off. So it was not a great week for the NASDAQ. It was also not a great week for the S&P 500. We sold off on Thursday and Friday and closed the week lower. We also saw pretty much the same thing from the Dow Jones. So overall, with our three indices that kind of represent the broad market, it was not a great week. And when we look at Bitcoin, it's sort of a similar story. We started off the week really strong, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we did pull back a little bit. It looks like we're starting to level out around 42,000 here. But what's really interesting about the Bitcoin chart is you can see we hit our new high here around 67, 68,000. We came all the way down to 45,000 here and we found a little bit of support. We then fell to 35,000 and we ran back up to 45,000 and we just got rejected this week. And so that initial 45,000 level that was support has now turned into resistance, and what I am watching for is a breakthrough of that 45,000 for a buying signal. Now, one other crypto that I just got into this week is called Titano. This one's kind of interesting. I only have a small position in it, but I got in here on the 7th of February. I'm up about 50% just in 5 days, and this is a really interesting crypto because it is auto compounding in your wallet every 30 minutes. And basically what that means is that you're gonna continue to accumulate Titano tokens in your wallet. It's basically just gonna add up every 30 minutes. And it's kind of like an APY or kind of like staking, but it's completely liquid. It just goes right into your wallet and it's really nice. So I put a couple grand into it. We're doing pretty good right now. We're up 50% in 5 days. The only concern that I have right now is that the volume is just slowly decreasing right here. You can see we're just slowly weaning out, and if that continues and if the volume continues to decrease, I'm probably going to lock in my profits and take a little bit off the table. But this is a project that I'm really interested in. I like it a little bit better than staking, and gives you full liquidity and everything's in your MetaMask wallet, which is just absolutely perfect. Now, the week ahead here is going to be really interesting. As you can see, we still have a whole lot of earnings coming out. We got some big names with Marriott, we got Roblox, Upstart, Airbnb, Devon. We also have Shopify and Nvidia the next day. We've got Palantir and Roku the day after that. We've also got Walmart and Fiverr, and then on Friday we close it off with DraftKings and John Deere. A ton of other companies also reporting, so it is going to be a very busy week, and it's very exciting. Now, here's how I feel about the market, and here's what I am seeing. Number one, the market is choppy. You can tell just by looking at our indices. The NASDAQ does not have a clear direction. The S&P 500 does not have a clear direction, and the Dow Jones looks like it's trading in a very clear channel. You can see right here, we have major support at 34, and we've got major resistance right here around 36 or 37. And so we've got a fairly choppy market, a little bit of a stagnant market, and it feels like we're sort of trading sideways. It also feels like growth stocks have been hit the hardest. They're down the biggest, but if they continue to grow at the same pace, they could show the largest opportunity. So that's a little bit of what we're going to focus on here in this video. Now, some other trends that I'm starting to see is that travel is starting to return. COVID worries are starting to diminish. People are just getting tired of COVID, and countries and borders are starting to open up, which means travel is probably going to return. And I want to point out to you a couple of stocks that I think will do well in that scenario. I also think that interest rates are a major concern for a lot of people, a lot of companies, and a lot of stocks. And I do think that come March 16th, we're going to see an increase in interest rates, but we will talk about that in a little bit here. And I also see, at least over the last 2 weeks here, it feels like crypto is becoming more widely adopted. The CEO of Uber just came out and said he has plans to accept cryptocurrency. Apple just announced that they are going to allow you to use cryptocurrency with Apple Pay at some point. And it feels like cryptocurrency is starting to integrate into how we do daily life. And that, in my mind, is the entire metric that I use to value cryptocurrency is whether or not people are adopting to it, and it feels like we're going in the right direction. So long term, I'm definitely bullish on cryptocurrency. I'm currently mining Bitcoin. I hold a little bit of Bitcoin, and I've got a lot of cash that's ready to deploy into cryptocurrency probably when Bitcoin breaks that 45,000 mark, but I will keep you posted. If you want to see any of my live trades and when I put my money in, you can sign up for my Discord chat, and that is where I post all of my analysis, all of my trades, and you can stay up to date with me. You get my weekly watch list ahead of time, and you get to ask me questions whenever you want. It's $5 per month, and the link is in the description down below. Now, let's start jumping into some of these stocks. And the number one stock here that I think is going to do really well over the long term, as long as travel returns, is Airbnb. The reason I like Airbnb is because more and more people do not want to work a corporate job. They want to rent out their property and make a side hustle, and travel is returning. And so I think Airbnb has a lot of wind at their back. They've seen a nice little sell-off from 212 to 130 over the last few months as these growth stocks have gotten hit, and they've just recently broken out of this trend. So I do have a position in Airbnb right now. I bought in last week. If you're a part of that Discord chat, you could have seen when I bought into it, and so far it looks like we have broken out of this trend. We will see how things go here, but Airbnb I think could do well if travel comes back roaring. Airbnb is going to be one of the big winners. Now, the next big winner that I think we're going to have if travel really comes back is Air Canada. And if you look at the chart for Air Canada, it is super interesting because just with a little bit of simple technical analysis, you can see that we have major support at $19, and just by connecting the high points here, you can see that we've got a pretty major level of resistance in this trend line. We've been rejected 3 times, and it looks like at the end of last week, we just got rejected again. And so a couple of different options here with Air Canada. I don't think there's a trade right now. It depends on how things open on Monday, Tuesday. If we see the breakout to the upside, that could be a buying opportunity, especially if we start to see good numbers and reports of travelers at airports, COVID numbers diminishing, and more countries opening up their borders. If all of a sudden Monday comes out and we saw 3 announcements like that and Air Canada breaks out, that's your catalyst, that's your edge, that's a great opportunity to get in. However, if the exact opposite happens, Monday, Tuesday, COVID numbers absolutely skyrocket for whatever reason, and Air Canada starts to sell off, that could be a shorting opportunity to take it back down to this $21, $22 level right here and possibly get back in long when it bounces off support. But we do need a little bit more confirmation. We don't have a full answer right now. Now, the next stock I want to point out to you here is Uber. Uber just had financials a little while ago, and personally, I thought they were pretty good. I really like the CEO of Uber. I think they're a really good company, and something that I'm starting to develop more of an insight to is drone technology has garnered a lot of attention over the last few years as something that's going to completely change the world. And Uber, I think, is starting to prove out that people driving a car and delivering it to your house might actually be a more viable option than drone delivery, because like, you can do it for so cheap, you can do it very quickly, you can do it efficiently, and you don't have to worry about very much safety concerns in any way. And now what comes to mind here is that services like Uber are going to directly compete with all these drone delivery companies that are trying to deliver small parcels, small packages, and things like that, especially in an urban area. If they're doing it over long distances or heavy weights, specialized cargo or anything like that, that's a unique opportunity. But anything that's going to be urban air, small parcel delivery, I don't think it's going to be by drone anytime soon. I think it's going to all be by courier, and I think Uber is well positioned for that in the future. They not only have their ride sharing for people, they have the food business, they have the freight business, and I think they're also launching kind of parcel pickup and delivery. So I really like Uber. I like the business model, and again, if travel returns, which it seems like it is, because I went through their financials and it sounds like airport traffic is up by 200% for them. So I'm very optimistic about the future. I like Uber as a business model. I think it has sold off to kind of the pre-pandemic levels, and I do think there's an opportunity here. Okay, we got 4 more stocks that I want to talk about here. The first one is ChargePoint. I like ChargePoint as a company. I analyzed it probably a year and a half ago, and it's actually trading at now roughly the same price that I analyzed it at back then. So very interesting. It feels like ChargePoint has sort of come full circle. But what happened just recently is that the US announced a $5 billion plan to fund an EV charging network in the US, and I think this could be a major catalyst for the company. I also think it has come back down to what could be described as a reasonable level as long as they put up excellent growth numbers. However, based on the valuation that the company's at, the expectations are still very high. So take this with a grain of salt. But the reason that I like the company is because the wind is at their back. Electric vehicles are taking over. Electrification is the way of the future. The US government is funding it, and this company is the largest EV kind of network provider in the US, and I think all of the major car companies that aren't Tesla are not going to go out and build their own network. They're going to partner with companies like this to take advantage of the existing infrastructure. So I really like the business model at ChargePoint. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. But from a technical perspective, we're sitting on a major level of support right here at $10, and it looks like we may have just broken out of our short-term trend line here. So if we see continuation over the next few days, I do think ChargePoint's a great opportunity. Next one here is EXP World Holdings, ticker symbol EXPI. This is a real estate company, and they're really interesting because, as you can see, we came down from $90 all the way down to $22, ran back up to $55. We just came back down to $22, the exact same level here. So we've got a double bottom, and it looks like we could be breaking out of trend right here. We've crossed through our 20-day moving average. We're approaching our 50-day moving average. We've crossed above the RSI. MACD is turning positive. Volume is starting to do okay here. So we've got some interesting indications from EXP. I'm really watching this $22 level closely. I would like to ride it back up from this, let's call it $30 back up to $50. We'll see how things go over the next few days though. IonQ, this is another company here. This company is in the quantum computing space, and I actually evaluated all of the companies in the space, and IonQ is not at the top of my list. However, over the last basically, what is this, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here, the stock is up by over 50%. It's actually up by 68% from the lows of $10, which is absolutely amazing. It's doing extremely well, and if this continues, it feels like there's room to go all the way up to $25, maybe even $30. We'll see how the rest of the week goes, but IonQ up 68% in just the last 2 weeks here. I do think quantum computing is going to have a major impact on the future. This company actually produces the computer, so I think they're well positioned for it, and if this continues, I do want to buy in because I like the upside in quantum computing. Now, the last two companies that I want to show you here are software companies that have been beat down extremely hard, but they do have earnings coming up. So I do think there's a possible catalyst here that could be a great turnaround catalyst for them. And the first one here is LegalZoom. Now, LegalZoom has earnings coming out on March 10th, 2022. The stock is consolidating pretty significantly here. You can see they actually went public around $30 or $40 here, and since then it has sold off significantly all the way down to $13.90, and ever since then we've been trading completely sideways. The stock does have earnings coming out on March 10th, so it is a couple of weeks away, but they're currently trading at a 6x price to sales ratio with good growth, good margins, and I really like the company and the industry. So LegalZoom is on my watch list. I'm basically watching for the breakout here of $18 here, and I want to ride it back up. Now, the last company I want to point out to you here is Palantir. Talked about this company a couple times on my channel. I actually got stopped out just recently here. I lost just a couple of percent. It wasn't really good, but Palantir has earnings coming out on Thursday. I like the company. They have some of the most steady and consistent revenue growth that I've been able to find. The stock has sold off pretty majorly though. I think they've just kind of run out of popularity. This was one of the hottest stocks on Wall Street for a little while, and it has started to consolidate over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks here. And so what I am watching for is a breakout of our trend line, a breakout of this consolidation, and a breakout of our moving averages. And I do think that the earnings on Thursday could be the catalyst that give us that breakout. Now, here is the summary for the video. I know I just laid a whole lot out there, but here's what I think. Number one, markets are choppy, so make sure you're protecting your portfolio, make sure you're managing your risk, make sure you have a stop loss in place, and make sure that if the market collapses over the next few weeks here, that you're gonna be okay, that you have ways to get out of your positions, or that you have ways to protect yourself so that if it collapses, you're going to be just fine. Next is that you're going to see more volatility around March 15th and 16th. That is going to be the Fed meeting. I do expect rates to increase, which could be not a great sign for anybody with a variable rate mortgage or a growth stock with a variable rate debt. So either of those two scenarios, if those rates increase, it might not be a great scenario for you, and it could have a pretty major impact on the market, and I think it could cause some volatility. Now, if you're interested in learning how to protect your portfolio, then definitely consider checking out my stock market fundamentals course. It is completely free. It's hosted on Skillshare, and the link is down below, where if you sign up with that link, you get between 2 and 4 weeks of completely free access to the entire site. And it's literally like the Netflix of courses. And one of those courses is my stock market fundamentals course. It's 10 hours long. It has over 11,000 students, and there's 380 reviews that you can take a read through. There's over 1.6 million minutes of watch time that have been spent on that course. Like I said, it's completely free. It's hosted on Skillshare, and when you use that link in the description, you get access to the entire platform, so you have nothing to lose. It'll be the best free resource that you can find online, and I promise you, it'll be the best way to spend your time and learn a little bit about the markets. Now, if you got any value out of this video, remember to click that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching till the end, and I will see you next week in the next watch list. Good luck trading, good luck investing, and we'll talk to you soon.